America, we are tearing ourselves apart. And here's how I got there. A house divided against itself cannot stand. You probably heard that phrase, but you probably thought of it as a warning. But we need to remember that others who hate what America stands for see it as a roadmap. And they use that roadmap as a path to their own power. You see it everywhere, from the 9/11 conspiracy freaks to Reverend Wright and his comments. Much of the coverage on Wright has understandably been focused on Barack Obama. But let's take Obama out of it for just a second. The point is, far too many people are cheering this guy on. Far too many people actually believe him. That leads to distrust of police and government and much, much worse. For example, here's one of the Reverend's most outrageous statements.
The government lied about inventing the HIV virus as a means of genocide against people of color. Governments laugh.
Great. How prevalent is that view? Well, according to a 2005 RAND Corporation Oregon State University survey of African Americans, an amazing 53% of those surveyed believed that, quote, there is a cure for AIDS, but it's being withheld from the poor. More than 1 in 4 believe that AIDS was produced in a government laboratory. Now, once you believe this stuff, of course you're not willing to trust the government. Of course you're not willing to help police solve crimes. But where are the leaders standing up and saying it's not true? Here is what you need to know tonight. This type of disenfranchisement is real, and it is spread throughout all of the races and all of the religions, and left and right. Luckily, personal responsibility is the world's cure-all. We just have to make sure that those who do wrong take responsibility, or the rest of us are going to force them to do it. We'll cover all of these stories tonight. 1, if you're a politician who lies to us, you get thrown out of office. If you're an illegal immigrant, you're going to be treated as if you've broken the law. Yeah, you go to jail and then you go home. If you're an incompetent businessman or a bank, we let you fail. If you were too stupid and couldn't figure out your mortgage, we let you fail. And if you're a murderer or a child rapist, we lock you up forever. And we find the people who will speak up against you. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and T. Rodgers, co-founders of The Bloods, the street gang in West LA, and the author of the 50 most asked questions about gangs. T. Rodgers, I just have to ask you, I don't have time. I will have you back. I want to know what the #1 question is about gangs, but let's talk about the culture. No snitching, the code of silence, and all of this stuff. It has led us down a path where we are tearing ourselves apart. Can you tell us a little bit about the culture and how it relates to the next generation?
Well, the whole topic of the subject tonight is disenfranchisement. And gangs, as a subculture of America, have been disenfranchised. They've been locked out of America. They've been locked out of the mainstream of America. And within that being locked out, they've developed their own code, their own sign language, their own everything. It's a world within a world. It is this need to survive that America has put upon those that have been disenfranchised is what you see now. Very briefly, we've given birth to a generation of people, a generation of kids that have been bred only to do one thing. And that one thing that they're going to do is change, be it a peaceful change or a violent change.
Oh, that's frightening. Zuhdi Jasser, where do we go with there? Let me go to Minneapolis, because it's in all sectors of life. This isn't just the code of silence that rappers talk about. It's also happening in Minneapolis. It's happening with the Somali community up there, with the rape of this woman in the hallway, where there was a code of silence. Don't say anything. You can't trust the police. America can't be trusted.
And Glenn, you really hit the nail on the head when you talk about disenfranchisement, because what happens is it is much easier for those that lack moral courage, those that lack a moral fiber, to attack the messenger and shoot the messenger rather than deal with the message. And this is the issue, is that it's all about tribalism, collectivism, and especially for various minorities, whether it be the Muslim community, Arabic community. Often, rather than deal with real problems within our own communities, deal with the morality. I mean, the Islam I was taught taught me in the Quran that it's important for me to fight for justice even if it is against my own family. But gangs and others, it's really more about just maintaining unity and circling the wagons and forget morality and forget the truth.
So, T. Rodgers, help me out with this one. Because it sounded like your last answer started off with, you know, African Americans have been disenfranchised, so we had to come up with gangs. You don't believe that, do you? I mean...
No, no, sir, no, sir. When you trace back the history of gangs, we can go directly to the movies, Gangs of New York. From that, there was a gang that was called the Spook Hunters that hunted nothing but African American youth. So this gang phenomenon came out of protection and protection of the community. It has developed into something that is vile, vicious, and immoral now because the standards that once were the code for the black family has now dissipated. There's an evolution of or an influx of crack cocaine that made the child the head of the household now.
But Glenn, one of the problems I see in this is that rather than look at the problems, there's a constant deflection of responsibility and an excuse for finding a reason to collectivize groups based on skin color, religion, or whatever, rather than have us live under one constitution with one morality that unites us under a common vision of a moral culture that stands for reason rather than stands for identity politics.
Okay, here we are. We're three Americans from wildly different backgrounds, the three of us. And yet, I'll bet you that we can agree on right and wrong. I'll bet you that we can agree that, you know, killing is wrong, child molestation is wrong, that, you know, that good people know the difference between right and wrong and are empowered to be able to do the right thing and to carve out their own niche in today's America. And yet, for some reason or another, me, Zuhdi, T, the three of us would be stereotypical people that would be separating ourselves. People would try to be separating us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Why is that when we most likely agree on values and principles?
Because it's so much easier. It's so much easier to slide down the slope of collectivism rather than morality and topics of ideas rather than just group politics.
T, does e pluribus unum exist anymore? Does the idea of a melting pot exist anymore?
Well, not actually, man. On my side of the table, I have to go back to the Constitution of the United States, where 3/5 of man. Oh, did I say that? But it is that type of history that has been put upon us as a people of color.
I mean, please, I have to tell you, I wasn't here. My family members weren't here. You weren't here. What you do with your life today does not reflect on what happened 50 years ago. You have a choice.
I can't agree with you, Beck. Glenn, I can't agree with you because that wrong has not been righted. I could stand here. I could sit here and say 40 acres and a mule, but I won't do that.
What difference does it make? You have Oprah Winfrey, the richest woman in America. She's an African American. She was a rape victim. My gosh, this woman has had more bad things happen to her, but she turned it around. You know what? I have to have you back because we're out of time. I'd love to have you back. And Zuhdi, as always, we'll have you back as well. Thank you very much. Now, coming up, disenfranchisement moves to the border where a Mexican official is looking for U.S. for asylum.